Hey, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be analyzing and listening to a track that I have never listened to in my life. This is coming from a band from Russia. The name of the band is Kino, and the name of the track, let me try to pronounce it as best as I can, is Pachka Sигарет. And it's coming from an album that I don't know how to pronounce because I don't know how to speak Russian. So please let me know in the comment section down below how to pronounce it correctly. And I gotta say that the track is actually way better than I expected. It truly took me by surprise. And especially because this is coming from the late 80s. So if you know your history, you know that the situation worldwide at that point, particularly regarding Russia, was very intense. So it's very, very interesting, and it's kind of a callback or a throwback to a particular period of time that I never experienced. So with that being said, let's get into it. But before we go, if this is your first time on the channel, I welcome you because in here we analyze the music that we love from the perspective of an active musician and professional music producer, but using language that everybody can understand, in a way to expand our knowledge when it comes to music production and songwriting, and of course, music appreciation. So with that being said, now, let's rock and roll. Here we go. So here we go, Pachka Sигарет, I think that's the pronunciation, by Kino.
Я сижу и смотрю в чужое небо из чужого окна и не вижу ни одной знакомой звезды. Я ходил по всем дорогам и туда, и сюда, обернулся и не смог разглядеть следы. Но если есть в кармане пачка сигарет, значит все не так уж плохо на сегодняшний день. И билет на самолет с серебристым крылом, что взлетая оставляет земле лишь тень.
Sorry for interrupting, but you know the drill. First and foremost, I wasn't expecting this, being very frank. Don't know why. Because given the way that the album cover looks, I was expecting something a bit more aggressive sounding and much more, you know what I mean, like face fronting, right? But this is extremely moody, way more introspective than I expected. And it actually has a very cool vibe around it. Very, very cool. One thing that I want to point out is how loud the vocals are in the mix. Super, super in your face. Like, super in your face. Is that a bad thing? Not necessarily speaking. I happen to like my music to be mixed in a different fashion when where the instrumentation is also quite present in the mix. But don't get me wrong, it's not incorrect. It's simply a different style. It's super loud. But it's quite, how can I put it? It's part of the vibe, I think, because it's what makes the song feel a bit more kind of, how can I put it, rough, and evokes this spirit of being like kind of disappointed, because I don't understand the lyrics, being very frank. I don't speak Russian. And I apologize for anyone who got offended by my terrible pronunciation of the name, by the way. And please let me know or correct me in the comment section how to do it if you happen to know how to speak Russian. Now, the vocals are kind of in your face, but they create a vibe. And not necessarily speaking is wrong. Another thing that I like to point out is at the great guitar work. It's super cool, super creative, very busy, but not in the way, or not in a way that is intrusive or getting in the way of the main instrument, which in this case is the vocals, clearly. Adding this always exciting element to the mix and to the song that always keeps, at least my ears as a guitar player, always trying to see what's coming next. Because you saw that I tried to draw your attention to the use of harmonics, which are a technique in which you use the flesh of your thumb, or your finger, rather than pressing on the fret. You actually just hover slightly over the string, and then you hit the string with the pick, creating this kind of crystal-like sound that is very, very cool. And depending on where you put your finger, you will create a different tonality. The way they are used in the track is fantastic. Super, super dreamlike and always present. Very cool. Another thing, the guitars, particularly the one that is playing the strumming section, super bright sounding. Bright means plenty of high end, okay? It's a bit too kind of not abrasive sounding, but it's kind of hyped on the high end, which it's not a bad sound either. I actually got surprised by it. Because usually I like to mix guitars that are playing that particular kind of style with a bit more of bottom end. I mind that this is an acoustic guitar that was recorded using steel strings, kind of similar to what you will find on an electroacoustic guitar. But given the conditions, this has been recorded in the late 80s. Don't know what kind of equipment they got in Russia back then. It's actually very amusing and interesting to know what kind of stuff was used to create this album, because it has a particular tone to it. It sounds very different from all of the stuff that from this side of the world we have exposed ourselves to, and it's very interesting. I am quite intrigued by the methods behind the production of an album such as this one, coming from this era, of course, because later music from Russia is, well, similar to what we got today everywhere, right? Not in the sense of composition, because that's also very interesting. This take on post-punk music from a completely different culture is kind of intriguing. It's very, very, very different. That's probably the reason why I am kind of struggling with my way to describe the sound of the music, at least at this point. Very cool. Let's keep rocking, because next time I talk to you, we're gonna be analyzing the sound of the mix. The drums just kicked in. Pay attention to them, because you'll see. Well, try to see how big they sound in the context of the mix, especially considering that the vocals are gigantic, okay? Then we talk about it once I come back to you. So let's keep rocking. Here we go.
Быть виноватым без вина, и никто не хотел руками жар загребать, а без музыки на миру смерть не красна, а без музыки не хочется пропадать. Но если есть в кармане пачка сигарет, значит все не так уж плохо на сегодняшний день. И билет на самолет с серебристым крылом, что взлетая оставляет земле лишь тень. Если есть в кармане пачка сигарет, значит все не так уж плохо на сегодняшний день. И билет на самолет с серебристым крылом, что взлетая оставляет земля лишь тень.
Sorry for interrupting, but you know the drill once again. The guitar solo was very cool. I liked it a lot. It reminded me of Lindsay Buckingham. Yes, I don't know why I had trouble remembering his name. Why? Because the song that this reminds me of is Trouble. Due to the fact of the solo relying quite a lot on the use of this effect, delay, which stands for this. Delay. Okay? A delay is actually just creating replicas of the sound coming through going through the effect. And in this case, you saw that it was kind of percussive and synchronized to the beat of the tempo of the song, making it feel like kind of bigger and also kind of hypnotic. I happen to be a huge fan of the effect. On guitar, it's excellent. And in this case, very, very similar to the stuff that Lindsay has done with his own music. And don't know how much of an influence Fleetwood Mac had over these guys. Please let me know if you know more about this band, because this is one of the very first times that I am actually listening to their music. And very cool. I mind that the guitar player playing the solo is the same guy who is playing the other elements or the other sections of the track in which the guitar is quite busy but beautiful. Very good. Now, remember when I asked you how big the sound of the drums sound in the context of the mix? What do you think? They are not that big, right? They're kind of tiny when compared to the sound of the voice, because the voice is so overbearingly loud and kind of occupying a good chunk of the space of that is comprised of by the music itself. That you don't get that kind of bombastic, punchy, aggressive tone that you usually associate with the sound of rock drumming, right? But it works. Why? Because this is an extremely moody song. You see that it's mostly the guitar playing strumming the strings that actually is the one that is carrying the rhythmic elements of the song forward. Very interesting. A very, very, very amusing way to write a song. Now let's take a look at the screen because it's time to talk about the mix. Over here we got Decibel, which is the tool that we use to analyze music through the use of a visual medium. And this white line in this section over here is what represents how loud each of the different frequencies that are part of the human hearing range, starting at 20 Hz and going all the way down to 20,000 Hz, have been or were at their highest point in volume. Okay? So you can see that, surprisingly enough, we got plenty of low end. Incredible. I wasn't expecting this to be this loud because it doesn't give me the impression, or it doesn't sound to be that boom, boomy. But I think it's because of how ominous and how present the vocals are. And since the vocal range of the singer is kind of in the lower register, kind of makes sense. Also, you got plenty of the effect that is applied on his vocals, which is a combination of several things. In this case, plenty of reverb, sounds like this, reverb. But you saw, or at least you could hear that the one that I applied to my own voice for the example has this dark tone. This is due to the fact that probably they use something similar to a plate reverb, which is the one that I showed you, and it has that particular tone. Then, what's a reverb? You might be asking if you're not familiar with this terminology. It's a tool that we use to recreate the sound of a space through artificial methods. And depending on how you use it, you can create ambience or even give the impression of being larger than life. And in this case, we got this kind of dreamlike effect, which is the result of the use of the reverb and the delay that I mentioned before on the vocals. Don't know how much of them or what kind of effects were used, because once again, the kind of gear that people in Russia had access to back then is truly intriguing to me, because they're knocking the ball over the park is properly done. The thing is that I don't know what kind of stuff they had access to. So if you happen to know, also please let me know, because I happen to be a sucker for gear. Well, I think it shows. Now, let's come back to the screen. Over here we got, of course, as well, our mid-range. And when I mentioned that the guitars are kind of bright sounding, here's why. This is usually, if you have been part of the channel for a while, we usually have a much more gentler slope over here when it comes to the high end. But in here we got like kind of piercing, particularly this region over here, 3000 Hertz, which is, I think, where most of the track that comes out of the strumming guitar is represented by this increment over here. Also, we got plenty of the mid of the vocals in this area, and since they are so prominent in the mix, you see them here. Also, the electric guitar playing the very beautiful passages also kind of have this bright tone to it, but it's not as bright as the acoustic guitar playing the strumming, because otherwise they would clash. But the mix allows for both of them to interact properly with each other. Well crafted. Now, let's take a look at the second section of the analyzer. Over here we got the dynamic range analyzer, which stands for how loud the track has been throughout time. And this blue blob represents the loudness of the track throughout time. Important. Why? Depending on how loud a signal is, signal stands for sound, we as human beings will react to it, emotionally speaking, in different fashions. When something is quieter, we will feel it to be more introspective, more intimate and stuff, right? But when something's louder, it's super, super in your face, and it becomes kind of exciting, but also menacing. You get the picture in your head. The relationship between those points of volume is what creates a song or makes a song or allows a song to be more exciting and dynamically speaking emotional. Okay? Hence the name. So you can tell now that depending on how loud the track, the moments of the song will become more exciting, more intimate. And this track is actually oozing with dynamic range. This is the introduction. See how much it jumps up when the vocals join. The vocals are so loud that the entire spectrum simply jumps out of the speakers. And you see that the track, once it gets momentum, it only gets louder, but even those are kind of phrases. If I were to be able to understand the lyrics, I can imagine that the lyrics are kind of introspective, and since it's kind of performative in the way that he's singing, I imagine that they have plenty of weight at a cognitive level. So is this. But then you see how once this section is over, we are preparing ourselves for the introduction to the drums. And bada bing, bada bam. See how loud the entire track became. Now the drums plus the vocals rose the volume of the entire track dramatically. That's also done through the use of a mixing board, of course, because when you are mixing, you can actually control the sound of a signal by pushing the fader up and down while the track is playing. That's known as automation. And that means that, for example, if we're about to hit, let's imagine that this is my master fader over here, and let's say that we're about to hit the most important chorus of the track. If I push it slightly forward, your interpretation of the chorus is going to be of something much more exciting, right? And if we're going to hit the super intense and dramatic and very, very introspective sounding bridge, let me talk down the volume a little bit, that will turn the entire sound of the music to be more haunting and somber and sexier, depending on the kind of music you're working on. So that's why this blue blob is so important. And you can see even the moves thanks to the use of a tool such as this one. So plenty of dynamism. And I think these sections are the ones without voice, this and this. Why? Because the vocals are super loud. Okay, let's give it the final, let's listen to the rest of the track, and I'm gonna give you my final impression. So here we go, let's continue. So there you got it. Very interesting take on music production, I gotta say. The track's actually cool, I liked it. It's very atmospheric, moody sounding, as I said before, and also kind of intense at the emotional level. It's sad that I don't understand the lyrics, but I will take a look at them because I think they are an important part of this track, because this kind of has a little bit of that Leonard Cohen style when it comes to the importance of lyrics. That's what I think in my head. And once I check them out, I think I will confirm or not what I'm thinking and saying right at this very point. Now, love the guitar work. Please tell me the name of the guitar player, because he was very good across the entirety of the track. Very creative, very much playing to the service of the song. Amusing guitar playing, also great tone. I love the sound of the guitar. And also the way the vocals are performed are also quite how can I put it? Performative. Because I can feel that there is some meaning to what he's singing about. So please let me know what you think about this track. If you happen to be a fan of Kino, please let me know what you think about them and why you like them so much. And also guide me into their music, because this is actually the first time I listen to them to this level of interest. And also it's the first time I actually listen to them, if I'm very frank. So please guide me in the right direction when it comes to discovering more of their music. And also, if you happen to be from this part of the world and also happen to be a rock music lover, please show me more bands from Russia, because it will be interesting to see and discover badass, good sounding music. With that being said, well, if you want to be part of this conversation and keep the conversation rolling, the best way to do it is not only by leaving a like and subscribing to this channel, but also by joining our Discord, which will be found in the description down below. And with that being said, the only thing to be reminded is that you should never let anybody tell you what to dream about. And remember that I'll see you when I see you.